we see the empire becoming more and more desperate. And we see that she is not wielding the power that she once had. Every move that she's making is making it worse for the empire. I want to play a clip for you, and I want your opinion on what's going on right now domestically, because we see the ships moving internationally all across the Caribbean. We see the United States arming Israel to the T. We see all of this. But right now, the home front is breaking up. And I want you to listen to this and give me your assessment after this. So here we are. We'll bring this up on the screen for everybody. And everybody just pay close attention to this. Here we are right now.
We've now entered day 39 of the government shutdown, and for the first time since it started, the Senate will now work through the weekend in an attempt to reach a deal to reopen the government. As CBS News' Kristen Benavides reports, the stalemate is having an impact on air travel and for those who rely on food assistance.
At the 11th hour, the Supreme Court halted a court order requiring the federal government to fund food assistance. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued the order in response to an emergency appeal by the Trump administration, which has so far refused to dip into its reserves to fund food assistance. Jackson wrote the lower court should deal with the matter swiftly. Janelle Daniels of New Jersey has suffered. SNAP ran out of funds last week.
It's hard to try to depend on other people to help you. I'm such a very independent, I try to help anybody else in need the best way I can, and it's very hard for me to ask for help.
It comes as air travel has been snarled by the shutdown. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy issued an emergency order for airlines to cut 10% of their flights at 40 major airports due to surging air traffic controllers' sick calls occurring with little warning as they work without pay due to the shutdown.
We see more incursions on tarmacs throughout the country. And we have more complaints from pilots about stress from air traffic controllers and more complaints about the lack of responsiveness from controllers.
This is a reasonable offer.
On Friday, Democrats said they'd be willing to reopen the government if Republicans agree to extend for another year tax credits for the Affordable Care Act.
The Democrats have gone, they're crazy.
But Republicans are holding firm that the government should reopen before any negotiations take place. Christian Benavides, CBS.
All right. So Carl, on that note, let me move that off the screen 1 second. So Carl, with that said, we see most people don't realize that when it comes to SNAP or the welfare system, because it's portrayed in the media, just like what they did, they showed two black girls in the car talking about, but it's actually close to half or 2/3 of recipients are white. And why would you think that Trump would turn on his own base and withhold the money when they need it so desperately? But he is funding the 95+% of the budget of the Ukrainian armed forces, government, pensions, everything.
Well, it should be obvious by now. Trump doesn't really care about his base because Trump can always spin everything as being a victory, and majority of his base will believe him. So that means Trump has no accountability. He's not accountable, so he can do whatever he wants. And this is why he initiated a trade war against China, which led to China from stop purchasing soybeans, which most of the soybean farmers are the Republican base. I mean, again, Trump is spinning this as a great resolution. He brought an end to a crisis which he himself created. Trump and the rest of the U.S. governing elite, they don't care about the average people. I don't know how many times I need to repeat that. They only care about lining their own pockets and the pockets of their friends and the pockets of the financial donors who put them in their place. That is their job in Congress. We have the best politicians that money can buy. and they're not there to actually, run it for the interest of average Joe from Michigan. Their goal is to get the votes, get into the position of power, so they continue to funnel money from the bottom to the top, to the 1%. That's what the American political system is designed to do. It's a feature, not a bug. I like to say U.S. government is of the oligarchs, by the oligarchs, for the oligarchs, and it works very well. But this is becoming more and more apparent, I think, to even majority of the Americans now. That's why they all demand change, except Trump himself got elected by posing as an outsider of the establishment, by promising to drain the swamp to change. Well, nothing changed. We saw this same play, whether from the Republican Democrats. We have Obama from the Democrats, who essentially did the same thing. They're populists. They appeal to the populist sentiment, but as soon as they're in the office, things goes just run the same way it always does before. Because sometimes you gotta really ask the question: who really runs the U.S. government? Because no matter who gets into the political office, the fundamental policy doesn't really change. The money continue to funnel to the top, to the 1%. They're fighting about which people among that 1% get most of the money. That's what the so-called uniparty is really about. I mean, it's really a uniparty. The whole Democrat and Republican, they're just fighting on which group of oligarchs get more of the public funds. So this is not unexpected. And right now they're playing politics, do all this grandstanding that's actually actively hurting the country. I mean, who does that? Like the government is supposed to, people expect government to provide basic services, right? Like the air traffic control. That should be working for but they don't care about that. They all they care is about posing for the camera, about optics. And Trump understands very well, because he is a reality TV show host. He knows what plays well on TV. But that does not necessarily translate into good policy for the country.
I
told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips that I've lost in